Radio buttons like this allow users to choose only one of several options. Although it's common to set a default value by adding the checked attribute to one of the buttons, it's not obligatory, and if the user fails to select one of the options, the radio button group is not included in the post array. All buttons in the same group share the same name attribute. In this case, it's gender. And it's the value of the selected button that's transmitted when the form is submitted. Now let's start by assuming you don't set a default and that the radio group is not a required field. However, you still need to add the name to the expected array. That's so that the processing script in mail process PHP can handle it. So we add gender. If the form is submitted and the user has selected one of the radio buttons but there are other errors, you need to redisplay the correct button being selected. So you need to add a bit of PHP logic down here in the input tags. So put the cursor just there before the closing angle bracket and insert a PHP block. And the conditional statement will be if post and gender is equal to F. And if that's the case, we then echo check so that it checks the correct button. The script in mail process PHP converts post gender into simple gender, so you can use that here. And what we need to do is to copy that and add a similar block in each of the other radio buttons, but changing the value that you're checking for. And this one has an apostrophe in the value, so I'll change that to a double quoted string. So let's save that and see how it works. Let me just fill in my name and I'll choose male as my gender, but leave the other fields blank and submit. And you can see that I've got some error messages here, but male has been preserved. Now let's say I want to make it a required field, but I still don't want to have a default value. Let's first put it in the required array. Now the problem is that if there is no default value and nothing is selected, nothing will be transmitted in the post array, and this will cause problems with the script in mail process PHP. So you need to create a default value if there isn't a value there. So add here if not is set post gender set its value, in fact create it and set a value for it as just being an empty string. So let's add an error message to the legend here, and we'll put a span in here. Please select a value. And we need to control the display of that span with a conditional statement. So PHP if missing and in array gender, that's the value we're looking for, and the array where we're looking for it is missing. And then put the closing curly brace in a block here. Right, that should do it. Let's save that and test the page again. Just clear that. And then I won't enter anything here and enter my name and submit. And now it says please select a value. But what if you want to set a default value? Well, I'm going to choose rather not say as the default value, and it just involves a slight change to the conditional statement. So here is won't say, and instead of if post, I'm going to make it if not post, or if gender equals won't say. Just save that and reload the page. And now rather not say has been selected as the default. But if I select male as the default and then submit it again, you see that male is preserved. So that deals with several different scenarios of using radio button groups in this web processing form.